Morning.
Could you give us a rundown of what the pool did this morning?
I galloped a mile and a half. Thought he went great. He's feeling super strong, but controlled, just like we'd like to see him.
How did he handle all the extra activity this morning?
I thought he handled it well. We were out early as soon as the track opened, but he was well behaved around the barn on his way to the track, on his way back from the track. Thought he was, in his zone. He was focused and galloped strongly, but like I said, was under control throughout.
How would you compare his conditioning of this week's physical conditioning as opposed to before the Derby?
He's been training great for a long time now, and he continues to show us the same things he was showing us leading up to the Derby. He's full of himself. He's energetic, and he's showing us everything we'd hope he would.
Appetite is strong.
Yes, he's been eating great and just feeling good and very, very happy.
I heard Nick say that he's come out of the skin again. How do you differentiate or distinguish between, that good energy and energy that's potentially not?
Well, I like the way he's behaving around the barn. He's very, quiet in the stall. He's quiet while he's finished. After he's finished exercise, he's cooling out very quietly, and he's composed. Gets on the track. He's strong, but in a good way. We just don't want to see him get too excited and step on himself or something like that. I thought he paddock schooled great yesterday. He walked over really, really composed. And when you when you go to the paddock here, you actually walk on the racetrack, which is a little different than a lot of places. So sometimes that'll charge one up a little bit, but he handled that really well.
So you've been here before, was a Derby winner. How do you compare your attitude now?
Mine?
Yeah.
With Super Saver, my concern was the 2 week turnaround was a little quick for him, and he didn't. He was eating well, he was acting well, but I wasn't seeing the same energy level from him galloping. When he was really good, he would be somewhat aggressive to gallop, and the few days we were here leading up to it, he just didn't seem like he had that same, he wasn't putting the same into his gallops as he was at Churchill prior to that, and I think the 2 week turnaround hurt him. I'm not seeing that with Always Dreaming right now. I feel like he's ready to go.
You mentioned the 2 weeks that I looked it up. Apparently, since 1980, there's only been 6 horses that have won the Preakness that did not previously run in the Derby. Why do you think so many of those Derby horses hold their form so well over that quick turnaround?
Well, I just think they're probably the best horses. Most of the best horses are trying for the Derby, and you're going to have some cases like Bernardini, who is kind of later on the scene, but for the most part, I think the better horses are all in the Derby, and that's probably why they come back and have success in this race.
It's part of it too, just riding the form cycle where if you've got them right and fit for Derby, you go in 2 weeks, you're just kind of riding that out.
Yeah, I think that could certainly be the case, and if they maintain their form out of the Derby, sometimes horses run really well in the Derby and come back and run really well here, and sometimes horses have an off race and then rebound with a big race here from the Derby, but I think the biggest factor is, most of the time the major players are in the Derby.
Some lobbying a couple of years ago about changing the calendar and making it 3 weeks between the Derby and this. What are your thoughts on that?
I guess I'm a bit of a traditionalist, so I think, when American Pharoah won the Triple Crown, that kind of put some of that to rest a little bit. But, you're always trying to improve the game, and, I'm not sure that an additional week would make a huge difference. Maybe if it were a month in between each one, something like that could impact it more significantly.
What kind of things do you look for in a 2 week turnaround versus 3 or longer?
Well, in this case, if we were having 3 weeks, we'd probably have a breeze in between. With 2 weeks, didn't feel like it was necessary, especially with the way he's galloping. The way he galloped this morning, he's getting plenty out of it. So, but with 3 weeks, we'd probably have a half-mile breeze or something like that, and give you a little more insight into exactly how they're doing.
Is there any concern with it getting into the 90s, a little more humid the next couple days?
Well, the good thing for us is we're gonna, we'll train early before it gets hot, and we won't do much in the afternoon. So, got our paddock schooling done yesterday, and it's a little bit of a concern just because it's such a change from what we've been seeing. But the good news is it looks like Saturday's going to be like low 70s, which is perfect.
So he's ridden very differently in the allowance race, where he was anchored in the front end versus the Derby where he sat behind the speed. Have you seen in his races or in the morning in his workouts, is he more competitive when he has a target to run at, or is he more competitive actually when he has someone behind him?
I think he's equally competitive. I think he adapts to either one of those scenarios. We didn't really want to be on the lead in the allowance race. Our goal was to try to sit him behind someone and let him get a little dirt and educate him. Unfortunately, the pace was so slow we weren't able to do that. I think his ideal trip though is what he got in the Derby and the Florida Derby. Where he stalks and he's got a high cruising speed. He can keep an honest pace and turn up the pressure when he needs to. I'm not going to sweat the post position too much in a 10-horse field here. I don't think it's nearly as important as it can be at the Derby. But everybody kind of wanted outside posts in the Derby, and 17, 16, 15, 14 probably turned out to be the worst. So a lot of it just depends on how the break goes and if everyone breaks straight. And I've said many times, sometimes you get good trips from bad posts and bad trips from good posts. So hopefully he just gets away cleanly and Johnny's able to put him into a position he's happy with.
Todd, in past years, Doug O'Neill has talked about enjoying downtown Baltimore. Bob Baffert's has his favorite crab cake places. Is there any Baltimore thing that you've enjoyed doing? I mean, you've already been.
Well, I've got a streak going of 6 consecutive days of eating crab cakes, so I'm going to try to keep that through the end. Yeah.
Have you moved it around, or is there
I've been to Michael's Cafe twice, and then but the great thing is wherever you go here, there's crab cakes available, so should be able to keep it going.
Do you see a huge difference in the pace scenario in the previous versus the Derby with conquest no money in there? Or?
I mean, I think it's going to be an honest pace, but I don't see it being a whole lot different. I mean, the Kentucky Derby was a pretty true pace, 22 and 4, 46 and 2s, solid fractions for a mile and a quarter.
What's your plans for the Thursday and Friday morning, and also on Saturday morning?
Saturday morning he'll just walk, but we'll plan to gallop Thursday and Friday morning.
Much was made of his behavior before the Derby, those couple of those days when he had some fun. Was that completely out of character for him? To have that?
It was different than what we were seeing in Florida. We had a very quiet setting at Palm Beach Downs, but even when we shipped him over to Gulfstream to paddock school a couple times, we left him there and he galloped pretty relaxed. But yeah, he got off the plane at Churchill, and first day on the track he was pretty amped up and pretty much stayed that way the whole time. But turned out to be a good thing.
Todd, after the Derby, you were talking about a conservative route with him going to Tampa to break his maiden and the 1X. Were you thinking beyond the Derby when you thought that plan?
No, we were thinking about the Derby. I mean, that was sort of our idea, was how are we going to get to the Florida Derby. And so, I thought the key decision was when we decided to go in the allowance race instead of the Fountain of Youth and focus on the Florida Derby. And we felt like by doing that, we'd hopefully have a fresh horse going into the Kentucky Derby. And I think as it turns out, we still have a fresh horse. So hopefully that's in his favor.
Beyond being a fresh horse, is there anything developmentally within the lightly raced horse that going in the allowance race instead of the Fountain of Youth might have been able to achieve?
Well, I just felt like if we win the Fountain of Youth, we were going to have to run a big race. And, we felt like if we could hold that off a little longer, that it would be helpful.
When is John Velasquez going to get us?
I think he gets here Friday morning.
If you were going to draw up a horse with the characteristics to potentially be going for the Triple Crown, what attributes would they have, and how would they distinguish what you have?
Well, I mean, I think first and foremost is you need talent, and, I think he has that. But he's given us the indication based on the way he's finished his races, the way he galloped out in the Derby, that, I think the mile and a half is within his range. So he's got that high cruising speed, which is can be effective in all races, and especially the Belmont. So, I think he has checks all those boxes.
Speed to stay out of trouble.
Hopefully, yeah. Good tactical speed, good, but not a need to lead type. So
After you won the Derby, you described it as feeling a need. Do you feel a need to win the Triple
Oh, I don't. A need. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I tried not to think beyond this race. It's hard not to, but focused on this and just let's hope that Sunday morning we wake up and have that to think about.